Hello friends, the claim is made that Ellen White was vaccinated against smallpox. However, there is a problem with this claim. Many in Adventist media, like the Review, have long repeated this claim, as did Stephen Bohr in his recent video right here. The Adventist Review writes, Adventist Church co-founder Ellen White took the smallpox vaccination herself and encouraged others to do so as well. Or more recently, Ellen White took the smallpox immunization herself. Footnote number 1, citing from a letter written by D.E. or Dorris E Robison, one of Ellen White's secretaries. Now, I have always thought that Doris was the name of a woman, but apparently at the time this spelling was used for men, because this here is Mr. Dorris Robison, who married the granddaughter of Ellen White. He responded to a question about vaccination in a letter dated June 12, 1931. Remember this date, specifically the year 1931, and you can look up a scanned copy of the letter online to read it for yourself. You will be interested to know, however, that at a time when there was an epidemic of smallpox in the vicinity, she herself was vaccinated and urged her helpers, those connected with her, to be vaccinated. However, the only evidence that anyone has that Ellen White was vaccinated is just this one sentence from this one letter written in 1931. However, interestingly, 16 years earlier, this exact same D.E. Robison received the exact same question about Ellen White and vaccines. However, the difference is that this letter was dated February 10, 1915. For those who don't know, Ellen White died in July of that same year. So D.E. Robison is responding to a letter about Ellen White and vaccination when Ellen White is still alive. And curiously, take note of this, there is no mention whatsoever of this story of Ellen White being supposedly vaccinated. He even states in the letter that, quote, I mentioned the matter to her one day, but was unable to get anything definite. It is remarkable that such an important story of her being vaccinated was not even mentioned until 16 years later after her death, and that when she was alive, this same D.E. Robison made no mention of it. He himself says that he asked her, but received no definite information. Now, to be fair, maybe she was vaccinated, or maybe she was not. We simply don't know. But for Adventist media to make the claim with certainty that she was, and that this therefore settles the matter, is both unsafe and irresponsible, because we also have a letter from her own son, Willie White, stating, I do not remember her ever saying or writing that she had any special instruction regarding vaccination. In my earlier days, she spoke of it as something what? As something dangerous, and related my own experience. She said that as a child, I was perfectly healthy until I was vaccinated, and by that, my health was what? Was much impaired. Ellen White's own son claimed that she spoke of vaccination as dangerous and that it greatly injured his own health. Now, this is a tremendous claim, yet for some strange reason, Adventist media completely ignores this letter. Why is that? Listen, whether you support vaccination or not, we should, in the interests of health and safety, try to gather as much information as possible so that we can all make an informed decision. But what we see right now, both in the mainstream media and even within our own church, is this pro-vaccine narrative that does not even allow any questions. People have legitimate, reasonable questions, both about the safety and efficacy of the various vaccines, but also moral, biblical questions of whether it is okay or not to inject into our bodies toxins like formaldehyde, canine kidney cells from dogs, porcine or pork gelatin, monkey cell proteins, and human diploid cells from aborted babies. We Adventists want to be healthy. We want to be healthy, and it should be okay to ask whether this is good for our bodies and whether this is morally acceptable. But right now and for many years, the Adventist Church leadership completely refuses to even address any of these concerns. The problem is not that they might disagree with the concerns. The problem is that no attempt is made to even answer any of these questions. They are simply written off as conspiracy or myth. For example, I published a comment right here. You can see it for yourself, citing Robinson's earlier letter. You can look and read it. There is nothing inflammatory, nothing accusatory or negative. It's just a reference to his earlier letter, which is published by the Ellen White estate, and the knee-jerk response is to delete this comment, as this book here recounts in great detail the history of our church on vaccines is far more diverse than what we are led to believe. For example, why were some Adventist pioneers members of the Anti-Vaccination Society? That's a good question. Prolific church leader and pioneer John Loughborough writes that he tried to scatter anti-vaccination literature, and he said vaccination is a, quote, mischievous delusion. Why would he say something like that? Why would Ellen White's own son claim that she said this is dangerous and that it damaged his health? Are we supposed to ignore the statements by the very children of Ellen White? So no, there is no evidence that Ellen White was vaccinated other than just this one statement, and it remains to be explained why he said nothing on the exact same question when Ellen White was still alive. Why wait 16 years later to say this? And even when he directly brought this topic up with her, why was there no mention of this supposed incident? Anyways, much more could be said. If you want to learn more, you will definitely want to read the book Vaccination, Biblical Revelation, Ellen White, History and Science. Very well written, very informative, easy to read, but also packed with plenty of references, and it's only $4 for the Kindle version. Someone recommended this to me a few weeks ago, and it's an excellent read, so I highly recommend it.